Have you ever encountered someone who left you feeling completely exposed, as if they could peer straight into your soul? That person who barely spoke a word, yet somehow managed to transform your entire perspective on life. Maybe it was that quiet friend who always seemed to know exactly what you needed to hear, even when you didn't know it yourself. If you're nodding along, chances are you've crossed paths with an INFJ, the rarest and most enigmatic of all personality types, often referred to as the silent personality assassin. But what lies beneath this mysterious surface? And why do these quiet observers hold such profound power over those around them? The art of silent observation. The power of an INFJ begins with their extraordinary ability to observe and absorb their surroundings. Unlike the casual people watching that many engage in, INFJ practice a form of deep observation that borders on the metaphysical. They don't just see the surface-level interactions and behaviors, they perceive the intricate web of emotions, motivations, and unspoken dynamics that most people miss entirely. In any given room, you'll likely find the INFJ in a quieter corner, their presence almost forgotten by others engaged in more boisterous interactions. But don't mistake their physical stillness for mental inactivity. Their minds are constantly processing a tremendous amount of information, from the subtle shift in someone's tone when discussing a sensitive topic to the barely perceptible tension in another's shoulders when certain subjects arise. This keen observation isn't limited to just visual cues. INFJ possess an almost supernatural ability to pick up on emotional undercurrents, reading the energy of a room like others might read a book. They notice the slight tremor in someone's voice that betrays anxiety, the forced brightness in a laugh that masks pain, or the genuine warmth in a smile that signals true happiness. This constant stream of sensory and emotional information forms the foundation of their understanding of human nature. The emotional intelligence powerhouse. What truly sets INFJ apart is not just their ability to observe, but their exceptional capacity to process and understand emotional information. Their emotional intelligence operates on multiple levels simultaneously, creating a depth of understanding that few other personality types can match. This isn't just about recognizing emotions, it's about understanding their origins, their implications, and their potential ripple effects through relationships and situations. INFJ possess what might be called emotional pattern recognition. They can identify recurring emotional themes in people's lives, connecting dots between seemingly unrelated events to reveal deeper underlying patterns. This ability often makes them seem prescient, as they can anticipate emotional responses and reactions before they occur, and their emotional processing doesn't stop at recognition and understanding. INFJ have an innate ability to mirror and validate others' emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them, though this is a skill many INFJ must develop over time. They create safe emotional spaces where others feel comfortable being vulnerable, often without realizing how the INFJ has carefully crafted this environment. The strategic mind at work. Beneath their gentle exterior lies one of the most sophisticated strategic minds in the personality spectrum. INFJ are natural systems thinkers, constantly analyzing how different elements of a situation interact and influence each other. This isn't limited to logical or practical considerations. They're especially adept at understanding the complex interplay between emotions, actions, and consequences. Their strategic thinking often manifests in subtle ways. They might carefully orchestrate situations to help others achieve personal growth, creating opportunities for learning and development that appear to arise naturally. They're masters at asking the right questions at the right time, gently guiding others toward important realizations without ever seeming directive or controlling. This strategic capability extends to their long-term planning as well. INFJ often have elaborate mental maps of how they envision situations unfolding, considering multiple possible paths and their potential outcomes. They're particularly skilled at identifying leverage points, those crucial moments or decisions that can shift an entire situation in a new direction. The power of empathetic connection. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the INFJ personality is their capacity for deep empathetic connection. This isn't the surface-level empathy that most people experience, it's a profound, almost visceral understanding of others' emotional states. INFJ don't just recognize emotions, they experience them alongside others, creating a bridge of understanding that can be both powerful and overwhelming. This empathetic ability operates on multiple levels. On the surface, it allows INFJ to respond appropriately to others' immediate emotional needs. But on a deeper level, it enables them to understand the complex web of feelings, fears, hopes, and motivations that drive human behavior. They can often sense the root causes of emotional pain or conflict, even when these aren't immediately apparent to the people experiencing them. This deep empathy comes with its own challenges. INFJ must learn to balance their natural absorption of others' emotions with healthy boundaries and self-care practices. Many INFJ describe feeling like emotional sponges, soaking up the feelings of those around them whether they want to or not. Learning to manage this sensitivity while maintaining their empathetic connections is often a lifelong journey. The art of gentle influence. One of the most fascinating aspects of INFJ is their ability to influence others without overt action. They practice what might be called gentle influence, the art of creating change through subtle guidance rather than direct intervention. This approach is particularly effective because it allows others to maintain their autonomy while still benefiting from the INFJ's insights and direction. Their influence often manifests through carefully chosen words and actions. They might plant seeds of ideas that take root and grow naturally in others' minds, or create environments that encourage specific types of growth and development. This subtle approach means their impact often goes unrecognized. People might realize they've changed or grown, but not fully understand the INFJ's role in that transformation. The infamous door slam. The INFJ door slam is perhaps one of the most misunderstood aspects of this personality type. Far from being a simple act of cutting someone off, it's a complex and carefully considered response to repeated boundary violations or betrayals of trust. The door slam isn't executed in anger or spite, it's a last resort, implemented only after numerous attempts to resolve issues through other means have failed. What makes the INFJ door slam particularly powerful is its finality and completeness. When an INFJ decides to remove someone from their life, they don't just create physical distance, they completely disengage emotionally and energetically. This isn't done out of malice, but rather as an act of self-preservation. INFJ invests so deeply in their relationships that continuing to engage with someone who repeatedly hurts them becomes emotionally unsustainable. The path of personal growth. For INFJ, personal growth isn't just a hobby or interest, it's a fundamental part of their identity. They approach their own development with the same depth and insight they bring to understanding others. This journey often involves learning to balance their natural tendencies towards self-sacrifice with healthy self-care practices. A significant part of their growth journey involves learning to trust and act on their intuition while still maintaining a grounded perspective. INFJ often struggle with doubting their insights, especially in a world that tends to value more concrete, logical approaches. Learning to honor their intuitive understanding while developing the skills to communicate it effectively to others is a crucial part of their development. The weight of wisdom. The depth of understanding that INFJ possess can be both a blessing and a burden. They often find themselves carrying the emotional weight of others' struggles, acting as confidants and counselors, even when they haven't explicitly chosen this role. Their ability to see beneath the surface means they often recognize problems and issues that others are blind to, which can create a sense of responsibility to help or intervene. This burden is amplified by their natural tendency toward perfectionism and their strong sense of moral responsibility. INFJ often feel compelled to use their insights and abilities to help others, even when doing so comes at a personal cost. Learning to balance this desire to help with their own needs and limitations is a crucial part of their journey. Creating lasting change. What truly distinguishes INFJ is their ability to create lasting, meaningful change in both individuals and systems. Their approach to change is both subtle and profound. They don't seek to force transformations, but rather to create the conditions where positive change can occur naturally. This might involve helping others recognize their own potential, facilitating important conversations, or quietly working to shift group dynamics in healthier directions. Their impact often extends far beyond what's immediately visible, because they tend to work behind the scenes and focus on deep, systemic changes rather than surface-level fixes. The full extent of their influence might not be apparent until long after they've moved on. They're often the invisible catalysts behind significant personal and organizational transformations. Conclusion. The true power of the INFJ lies not in any single ability or characteristic, but in the unique combination of deep empathy, strategic thinking, and subtle influence that defines their approach to life and relationships. They are indeed the silent personality assassins, not because they seek to harm or destroy, but because they have the remarkable ability to quietly dismantle emotional barriers, challenge limiting beliefs, and facilitate profound personal transformation. Their influence operates like water, gentle yet persistent, capable of reshaping even the most rigid landscapes over time. In a world that often celebrates the loudest voices and most visible actions, INFJ remind us that some of the most powerful changes happen quietly, through patient observation, deep understanding, and carefully cultivated connections. As we've explored the many facets of the INFJ personality, one thing becomes clear: their greatest strength lies not in what they do, but in who they are. Their presence alone can shift the energy of a room, their understanding can heal wounded hearts, and their insights can illuminate paths forward that others might never have seen. They are the quiet revolutionaries, the gentle healers, and the wise guides who help us become better versions of ourselves, often without us even realizing how they've done it. Remember, the next time you encounter someone who seems to understand you better than you understand yourself, who creates change without fanfare, and who leads without seeming to lead at all, you might just be in the presence of an INFJ, the silent personality assassin, working their subtle magic to make the world a better place, one silent interaction at a time.